Hello and welcome to the Pretty Good Gaming Daily Triple, your no shit gaming news video. That's 3 news stories in one video with zero faff. Okay, we all know the cyberpunk situation right now, so I'm not going to waste your time going over old ground. And really, to be honest, I just can't be bothered to moan about it yet again. Instead, in a sort of perfect irony, developer CD Projekt Red has suffered a targeted cyber attack. CD Projekt posted a statement to Twitter explaining the situation along with the ransom note itself. Much of it is standard stuff like we won't give in to demands, we're still investigating, we've contacted the authorities, etc. But the key part is as follows. An unidentified actor gained unauthorized access to our internal network, collected certain data belonging to CD Projekt Capital Group, and left a ransom note the contents of which we have released to the public. Although some devices in our network have been encrypted, our backups remain intact. We have already secured our IT infrastructure and begun restoring the data. According to the ransom note, which is one of the lamest things I've ever read, the attackers claim to have stolen source code for Cyberpunk 2077, The Witcher 3, Gwent, and an unreleased version of The Witcher 3, as well as important documents. You have been epically pwned. We have dumped full copies of the source codes from your Perforce server for Cyberpunk 2077, The Witcher 3, Gwent, and the unreleased version of Witcher 3, with 3 exclamation marks. We have also dumped all of your documents relating to accounting, administration, legal, HR, investor relations, and more. Also, we have encrypted all of your servers, but we understand that you can most likely recover from backups. If we will not come to an agreement, then your codes will be sold or leaked online, and your documents will be sent to our contacts in gaming journalism. Your public image will go down the shitter, and even more people will see how shitty your company functions. Investors will lose trust in your company, and stock will dive even lower. You have 48 hours to contact us. Just to clarify, in case you don't know, losing source code to a hacker is a pretty big deal. Source code is essentially the building blocks of any computer program, meaning that if the public gets access to it, they can modify, exploit, and pirate the software without any barriers. This note doesn't exactly trip with the cool factor you'd expect from cyberpunk culture, and instead reads more like a child in his bedroom, which, to be fair, makes the situation even more embarrassing for CD Projekt if that's true. I mean, who the hell uses the word pwned anymore? You got epically pwned, Jesus. Look, we're all pretty pissed off at the cyberpunk situation, and it's the folks at the top who are responsible for this, but actions like this don't punish them, they punish everyone. Regular Joes just working their asses off who did nothing wrong and just did their job are the ones who will also suffer. And on top of that, this may cause problems for actual gamers. A second large patch is due out sometime this month, which may be disrupted by this attack, as at least some of the company's efforts will be taken up finding out who did it and how bad the damage actually is. CD Projekt explains that they have backups of the lost data, but that will slow down development of new updates and patches which the game is in dire need of. Such a delay may only be a matter of days, but that's still a problem and one that the actual workers will be made to solve, not the executives at the top. Some of you probably think CD Projekt deserves this for how poorly the game launched, and I will admit that I am really enjoying the irony, but I don't think this does any good for anyone. Beyond the stuff related to the actual games, losing confidential data like legal or administrative documents is very dangerous, not just for the wider company, but the regular people working there. If such information is exposed, staff there could end up in very real danger, so this sort of thing shouldn't be celebrated. However, in reality, I very much doubt that anything will actually come out of this for the perpetrator, and if anything, it may backfire for them as it keeps CD Projekt's name relevant. Hell, it could even be a fake conspiracy made up by CD Projekt to make themselves look good, but obviously that's all conjecture and probably a bit unlikely. Ultimately though, that's kind of where we are with this story. We don't know anything else about who did it or what really happened, so the rest is up to your imagination until more information comes out. And next up, E3 2020 was cancelled due to the Foster's Fever situation, but 2021's Expo is dragging itself forward so that the show can survive in some form. 2020's show was meant to go ahead digitally, but didn't really take off, and several publishers ran their own independent events or media outlets filled in the gaps. The ESA, or Entertainment Software Association, is pushing ahead this year to run a fully digital event of keynote speeches and game demos. That sounds like a pretty decent step towards reviving E3, but there's 2 major problems right now. Number 1, the ESA still needs backing of publishers so they actually have things to show off and games to talk about. The event is meant to hold multiple 2-hour keynote presentations, an awards show, a preview night, streams by publishers, media, and influencers. Without having any publishers actually signed up, none of that is ever going to work. Heavy hitters like Sony, Microsoft, and Nintendo often just do their own thing anyway because it's cheaper and they can take all the focus without having to share the limelight. But my number 2 major problem isn't anything to do with the publishers or the games themselves, it's us. Does anyone even care? E3's dead videos pop up every single time the season approaches, and I can't say I wholly disagree. E3's always a bit of a letdown with fake trailers, unkeepable promises, corporate shilling, and cringe-worthy live shows. Okay, no, that last one is actually all part of the fun for me. Do we really need E3? Would anyone miss it if it was gone? The ESA is made up of all the biggest publishers that literally control the industry and try to control you, the viewer. Any of these publishers are big enough to do it on their own, but if they all do that, then all the accountability is on them, rather than having the E3 name as a buffer. As I said, the likes of Sony and Microsoft normally just head up their own dedicated shows anyway, which is in their best interests. E3 will most likely get at least a couple major and minor publishers to sign on for the showcase, but given how the ESA said that it wants to run things like an influencer festival, I don't think anyone is going to give a shit about its supposed triumphant return. I would say that without E3 on my gaming calendar, I would miss it, but in reality, I don't really think that's true anymore. Other companies can fill that void and have done in E3's absence in 2020, even putting on cleaner and more efficient shows. The Game Awards by Jeff Keighley seems desperate to replace E3 as the tentpole event of the year in gaming, but the show seems much less interested in providing interesting and compelling artistic criticism, and instead is just another vehicle for advertising. I mean, seriously, the fresh indie game sponsored by Subway, give me a fucking break.
Give us a fucking break!
All of this info about E321 is from a report by VGC, which is linked in the description, and the ESA has yet to say anything concrete on the matter. However, a spokesperson did say, "We can confirm that we are transforming the E3 experience for 2021 and will soon share exact details on how we're bringing the global video game community together. We are having great conversations with publishers, developers, and companies across the board, and we look forward to sharing details about their involvement soon." What I personally like about E3 isn't the games or the event itself really, it's everyone in gaming coming together to talk about something all at once. Even if it's just to say, Jesus Christ, look at how shit that is, we all get to share in that moment together, and it's quite cathartic. I'm feeling both deeply cynical but also quite sentimental after a stressful few weeks in an already exhausting 12 months. I think what I'm trying to say is I don't really care too much if E3 itself dies, because something else will take its place and will probably be significantly better. Just keep those ESA lootbox shills out of it and we can all celebrate the great games while laughing at the bullshit all together. And finally, after CD Projekt drama and E3 limping on for yet another year, let's talk about a very promising upcoming game. Chinese developer Game Science surprised everyone a few months ago with a long chunk of gameplay from their upcoming title, Black Myth: Wukong. The game looks incredibly impressive, especially as it's effectively an indie game from a relatively unknown studio. Earlier today, a new trailer dropped showing off some cinematic footage, but also a few more hints of gameplay and special abilities. It's a third-person action-adventure title based on the novel Journey to the West. This trailer didn't only feature new footage, but also served as a celebration of the Chinese New Year as we leave the Year of the Mouse and enter the Year of the Ox, complete with in-game boss battles mimicking such animals. The game isn't due out until 2023, so there's plenty that could go wrong in that time, just remember Cyberpunk, but at the very least it's definitely one to watch. At the end of the trailer you may have noticed the Epic Game Store logo at the bottom, which suggests that there will be some kind of exclusivity deal, though that's not at all a surprise these days, especially when you consider how close Epic is with China. It is also expected to release on PS5 and Series X. As usual, there's a link in the description to the full trailer, and I covered the original footage when it came out back in August, so click the banner in the top right to see more of that. And that's your lot for today. If you enjoyed this no shit format, go ahead and give the video a like to give it a boost. Hit subscribe and the bell if you want to stay up to date on all future installments. Toss a coin to your YouTuber over at patreon.com/prettygoodgaming. That's all for today. I've been Henry Cooper. Bye for now.